Will guests please rise for the arrival of the official party and remain standing for the national anthem, which will be sung by Etienne II Schmidt. NPTU Charleston, attention. Huh. Nuclear Power Training Unit, Charleston, arriving. Staff, arriving.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Please remain standing while Chaplain Brady does the invocation.
If you are willing, let us bow our heads in prayer. Eternal and loving God, we humbly bow our heads and lift our hearts to you in thanksgiving for the grand accomplishment of these sailors gathered together today in this graduation. God, it was you that put it into the hearts of these graduates to join the world's greatest Navy and pursue the path of a nuke leading them to Nuclear Power Training Unit, Charleston. It was you, O God, that infused these graduates with grit and grace to not only excel in their studies, but to navigate through the numerous challenges they encountered on their journey as that has culminated in this graduation. O merciful Lord, remember and bless the families near and far who believed and supported these graduating class, as well as the instructors and staff of our training unit who helped guided them to success. And as this class prepares to go out into the fleet at the tip of the spear, wherever they are assigned, help them to know that you, O God, will go before them and stand with them as the one who orders our steps and props us up on every leaning side, so that no error becomes eternal, no fall becomes fatal, and no problem is more powerful than your grace to bring us through. We ask this in the name that is above every name. Amen.
Please be seated. NPTU Charleston, at ease. Rear Admiral Moneymaker, Captain Peters, Captain Kep, Command Master Chief Montello, distinguished guests, family, friends, welcome to Naval Nuclear Power Training Unit Charleston graduation ceremony for Class 2206. I am Commander Fitzpatrick, the Executive Officer of NPTU. I'd like to say we are pleased that you could join us as we recognize the sailors who dedicated so much of their time and effort in this final phase of their training. While we recognize those students who stand out from their peers, it is important to remember that each student dedicated thousands of their hours in pursuit of this moment. Today is about the accomplishments of our sailors as they complete the Naval Nuclear Propulsion Training Pipeline. Please join me in a round of applause for our families, friends, and shipmates who played large parts in our sailors' success. You have our heartfelt thanks. It is now my pleasure to introduce the NPTU Charleston Commanding Officer, Captain Reed Kep. Captain Kep is a career submariner who's had command of USS Colorado and is now in Major Command at Nuclear Power Training Unit Charleston. Captain Kep.
Well, good morning, y'all. Yep, I've been in South Carolina long enough I can say that now and mean it. So good morning, y'all. So you did not get the first iteration of the graduation, which was a few degrees cooler. So sorry about that, but you do get a leg up on the next crowd because you'll be out of here for the midday one, and they're really going to feel it. What are you smiling at, Master Chief? Like, I might just have you stay here for it too. All right, good. All right, very good. Hey, well, thanks for coming here. I'm glad you could be here. What I'm going to do is give a few thanks, show some gratitude to some folks, tell you a little bit about my staff, a little bit about the graduates today, and then learn a little bit about you, and then I'll introduce our guest speaker. Fair enough? All right. So first I want to thank the Patriot Point staff. They put this on every 8 weeks. We graduate about 400 officers and sailors that we send out to the fleet into various areas. Every 8 weeks that we do that here. And so they are incredible hosts. I can't think of a better place to send our sailors and officers off from than a World War II served USS Yorktown aircraft carrier. And so I thank for the staff for doing that. I also want to give a shout out to my staff. So at Nuclear Power Training Unit Charleston, where we train all the nuclear operators in the fleet as of now, we have about 1,300 active duty Navy staff, about 300 civilian staff, mainly Naval Nuclear Laboratory staff that contribute to the training mission and the material maintenance of our ships, and about 1,200 students at any given time. We operate 24/7, 365 days a year, and that includes Christmas. We don't take a day off or anything, and my staff right now is working, still training 3 other classes of students, and we just checked a new group on this week. So we're staying busy. I want to thank my staff for that. My administration staff is here. They are incredibly involved in processing all the pay and administrative needs that we need for the well-being of our folks as they transfer all over the world from here. And so I appreciate them continuing to keep the drum beat and keep the rhythm going for that. So thank you to my staff. Hey, a little bit about the students, a little bit about your graduates. Who do we have here? Who are we graduating? I'm a parent of teenagers and college students also, so you've probably been sitting at the dinner table like me, and the best you can get out of them might be good, or you're like, I'm really trying to figure out where you're going and what you're doing. So it's like a dental extraction exercise sometimes, right? So I'm going to give you a little bit, right? So who do we have here? So we graduate electricians. So our electricians mates responsible for our load distribution and our maintenance of our submarines and carriers. Our reactor operators who obviously operate our nuclear reactors and the core itself. We have our mechanical operators who operate all our mechanical systems and our propulsion systems so we can stay afloat and keep moving. We also have engineering laboratory technicians, which are selected from our mechanical operator students who are trained and certified in maintaining the chemistry and radiological controls of our nuclear power plants for sustainability and integrity. And our officers, we have a cadre of officers, those that will be going out to various submarines across the fleet, whether those are ballistic missile submarines, guided missile submarines, fast attack submarines, either operational or in our maintenance availability. We also have our SWO nukes, is what we affectionately call them, our surface warfare officers who have already completed a tour on a small combatant, and now they're getting their nuclear training and certification so they can proceed on to their first carrier assignment. Also, and you might not see them in this crowd, but we also pick high-performing sailors, and we select them for junior staff instructors, which are mostly voluntarily. We'll select them to stay behind for the first 2 years of their commitment, where they'll stay here and get further qualified and certified as a staff training instructor and continue the training mission before they report out to their fleet duty station. So what opportunities do they have? Well, we also, some of them are leaving here or going straight to ships. Others, like I mentioned, are going to be instructors. Some will go to nuclear welding school, which is a great opportunity. Some that are of our electronics technicians may be selected for propulsion plant local area network schools. So think cybersecurity for our networks that run our nuclear power plants. We also have some that can be selected for other certifications, other maintenance schools, and I already mentioned the engineering laboratory technicians. We also train in-house our naval nuclear laboratory civilians that will continue the training mission, or they're actually contracted civilians that are incorporated in naval reactors to train our students. And lastly, in our officer cadre, there's a group that's called direct input officers. They are recruited right out of college. They sign a 5-year commitment, and their job is to come here and certify as staff training instructors, and they run our nuclear power plants. At the site, we have 3 actual nuclear power plants and converted fast attacks or in converted submarines that we actually use to train and certify our students. So lots of opportunities there. We even got some folks that are re-enlisting today. We have lots of opportunities for your sailors to re-enlist early based on their nuclear qualifications with great incentives for the team. So I just want to let you know what we do here, what opportunities they have. There's a cadre of folks that are going all over the world when they leave here today, and so that's it. All right, so break from that. I would like to just get to know you a little bit, and I'd like to start by doing that by saying if we have any veterans in the crowd, if you're willing and able, would you please stand so we could honor you? Thank you. Thank you. All right. Now, if we have any spouses of the graduates today, anybody that's a spouse of a sailor officer graduating today, and if you're willing, would you please stand? Great. Thank you. And I can get a little bit emotional about what you do day in, day out, and I'm sure Captain Peters can as well. You're going to be sacrificing and enduring and just having a great experience as you commit to moving in different places, whether it's raising families, volunteering in your community, helping shipmates out. People will come alongside you to help you adjust, and then as you gain experience, you'll come alongside. And I've always just been so encouraged at how we can accomplish our mission by the spouse network and what you do to support us, and I just don't think you get recognized enough, so I wanted to give you a quick shout out for that. Okay, now, hey, for the parents, for the families, grandparents, whatever it might be that you came here, clearly you're invested in the graduate success. Now, it could be that you just want to be here to celebrate with them, or you just want to make sure that they actually have a job and they have somewhere to go that's not coming back to your house. Like, I'm not sure where you're at on that, but whatever it is, we're glad you're here. And I would like to know, like, where did you come from? Like, who thinks that they came from the farthest away? This is interactive. New Jersey, all right. Boston, okay. Michigan, California, Washington, Oregon, Wisconsin, Mexico, okay, good. Anybody else? Hawaii. Oh, can anybody beat Hawaii? All right. I don't know why every time somebody yells Texas, regardless if it's the furthest away or not. You know how Texas folks are. Yeah, there you go. Master Chief's from Texas, too. He knows what I'm talking about. All right, hey, well, thanks for investing in your sailors, your officers. Thank you for just being part of this. Super glad to have you. What your sailors told me yesterday before they graduation, they said, we actually love it when our family embarrasses us. That's what they told me. They said, we really love when our family yells stuff like, that's my sailor, or I love my sailor. So they love that. So I encourage you to do that. Please come up front and take a photo with your sailor. We'll pause. We'll give you we got plenty of time. We'll give you time to do that. So we want to make sure you make the most out of this opportunity. Thank you for investing in the Navy with your family. Thank you for trusting them with us. And without any further ado, I'd like to introduce our guest speaker. I'd like to welcome Captain Peters, a career submariner much like myself. He had command of the submarines USS Louisiana and USS Georgia, and he's currently serving as the Chief of Staff of Submarine Group 10 in Kings Bay, Georgia, the hub of our ballistic missile submarines and our guided missile submarines. So please welcome Captain Peters.
All right, well, no pressure there. So fun story. Before you all came here, there was a class before. And so this is the second time I'm going to speak in front of the group. I learned some things. First of all, this is the lowest ventilation flow in the entire carrier. So back there, you got lots of air coming. It's warm up here. And I also realized that I'm between the graduates and their freedom to leave here. So I'll try to keep my remarks short. Someone's from Washington, outstanding. I'm a Washingtonian myself, so excellent. It's a small world. First of all, congratulations to the graduates, and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, guests, distinguished guests, NPTU staff, Emerald Moneymaker, if you're an audience, and other guests. But again, welcome to this great day. So funny story, I was here about 3 weeks ago. I was asked to come speak at this graduation. I'm like, Charleston, graduation. So fun story, and this is for the students in the back. Don't answer it now, but there will be a trivia question. So I've been a nuclear trained operator for north of 2.5 decades. I've never set foot in Charleston, South Carolina until yesterday. So how is it I can be a nuclear operator, commanded 2 submarines, and never been to Charleston? So if you know the answer, don't say it out loud. When you come up on stage, just let me know, and I'll tell you if you're right or wrong. Last class, they had 7 people get it correctly. So that's the challenge. All right, so with that in mind, it's like, when's the last time I was at Prototype? I'm like, my gosh, last time I was at Prototype was my graduation back in the year 1995. And I was an ensign, and I was not here, I was in New York. And so that's not the answer, by the way, for the guys in bagging. So I tried to, come up with a speech. Like, what would I tell someone? Because we didn't have social media, we didn't have people filming things. We were just in the office, and they just handed orders and told us to go away. So I was trying to figure out, this is an opportunity, maybe, it'll get captured on video, and maybe someone will go back and actually remember the speech. So I actually had to think about this. There's pressure on me. So, first thing I thought of was the last time I was at Prototype. 10,199 days ago, today, I was in where the students are. So I was like, wow, so what have I learned in 10,199 days that I can share with the graduating class that will help them? Maybe a couple nuggets of wisdom as they navigate their professional careers. So here we go, 3 things. So first of all, congratulations again on graduating. Today marks the end of one phase, but really the beginning of the real challenge. So now, each of you that are about to graduate, you are now what we call a basically trained nuclear sailor, all right? And so with that, welcome to the family. And what I mean by that is you now join the program, okay? And in that sense, you and I are bonded in the same way with hundreds of thousands of us who've gone before us, who have walked through this process, graduated, and gone off to serve our country as nuclear operators. So Rickover's legacy, that's the first thing, all right? So you have a new charge of service, and this obligation starts today until the day you leave this earth. So there's 3 things I'll charge you as part of Rickover's legacy. First, we're caretakers of a complex, unforgiving technology. That's nuclear power. Never forget that, okay? Complex, unforgiving technology. Another way to put it is, do your job. We earn the trust of our nation through uncompromising standards, high standards, a commitment to excellence. You've probably heard these things. They do mean a lot, and that is the backbone of our program. Another way to put it is, I back each of you up, you back me up. The third thing, we're charged to uphold the standards of those who came before us. Okay, there are a lot of people who came before us, including me. And, you've earned your place in this program today. But with that comes a duty, all right? You need to serve with integrity and purpose for the rest of your life. There's a lot of us that have gone on to civilian life who are graduates of this program who are doing amazing things for America. One of the things this program does is it changes the way you think and approach problems and how you view life. And those are good things, and that was part of Rickover's legacy. All right, so the second of three things, what would I tell you? Your service in the Navy matters. All right, folks have probably told you that, but you know, as you graduate today, most of you are going off to the fleet for the first time, and it's becoming real, okay? You're actually going to get paid to do a real job. Your service matters. All right, our nuclear-powered aircraft carriers and submarines have unique capability to allow us to operate anywhere in the world's oceans. That's a big deal, and you're going to be part of that, and you should be proud of that. Many of you, in your short time in the Navy or long time in the Navy, are going to deploy here to counter the rise of China. Think about that. Or to counter Russia. Those are real things. You see those in the news. You're going to be part of that story. Last but not least, to kind of bring it back to a personal level, life advice. What would I want to hear in my early 20s, you know, now that I've lived this? Okay, 3 things that I found that generally set you up for success in life. First is show up to work on time. That's a good start. Second one is have a good attitude. You'd be amazed at the difference a good attitude makes. You get to vote that. I challenge you to do it every day. And the last one is do your job. Be a team player, okay? This, if anything, you know, this program has tried to impress upon you, it's never an individual effort, all right? And it won't change when you get to your ships and submarines. It's a team effort. And doing your job and being a team player is really important. So with that, congratulations again, class 2206. I think I got that right. All right, from a person who graduated in class 9407. All right, congratulations.
Thank you, Captain. Commanding Officer's Personal Excellence Award is presented to the sailor chosen from each crew who exhibits the greatest degree of professionalism. Selection criteria for this award takes into consideration student effort, motivation, adaptability, personal development, and performance of duty. Again, please feel free to come up, take pictures as your sailors come across the stage. The following sailors are the winners of the Commanding Officer's Personal Excellence Award. ETN2, Joseph Schmidt. He will stay at NPTU as a junior staff instructor. MMN3, Christopher Ozaretny, headed to ELT school. MMN3, McAllister Boatman, headed to ELT school. ETN3, Dylan Pulley, headed to PCU, Massachusetts. MMN3, Alex Hamrick, headed to USS Ronald Reagan. And now for the rest of MTS 626, Class 2206, Lieutenant Junior Grade, Matthew Elise, headed to USS West Virginia. MMN3, Arthur Ambrose, headed to USS Alexandria. ETN3, Christopher Ayung, headed to USS Texas. ETN3, Owen Beatty, headed to USS Henry M. Jackson. EMN3, Christian Bippus, headed to USS Pasadena. ETN 3, John Birch, headed to USS Massachusetts. Ensign Nathan Bushok, headed to USS Alaska. MMN 3, David Broshot, headed to ELT school. EMN 3, Brady Burns, headed to USS John C. Stennis. EMN 3, Nathan Campbell, headed to USS Nimitz. MMN 3, Jackson Kennedy, headed to USS Alaska. MMN 3, Daniel Carey, headed to USS Dwight D. Eisenhower. MMN 3, Justin Chong, headed to USS George Washington. MMN 3, Draven Cleaver, headed to USS John C. Stennis.
Got family here?
ETN 3, Simon Clute, headed to USS Colorado. EMN 3, Joshua Koch, headed to USS Wyoming. MMN 3, Diego Contreras, headed to ELT school. MMN 3, Wyatt Crudale, headed to be a junior staff instructor at NPTU Charleston. ETN 3, Nathaniel Sear, headed to USS Boise. Ensign Patrick D., headed to USS Hampton. ETN 3, Jacob Damond, headed to USS Idaho. Ensign Nicholas Donnell, headed to USS Oregon. MMN 3, Daniel DeShano, headed to USS Dwight D. Eisenhower. MMN 3, Jackson Dyer, headed to USS Hyman G. Rickover. EMN 3, Cole Flores, headed to USS Hampton. Ensign Terrell Ford, headed to USS Greenville. Ensign Calvin Fry, headed to USS Montana. Ensign John Gale, headed to USS Tennessee. ETN 3, Ian Geddes, headed to USS Albany. MMN 3, Andres Gonzalez, headed to ELT school. Ensign Kevin Hacks, headed to USS Indiana. EMN 3, Aaron Hamilton, headed to USS Key West. Ensign Cole Hamlin, headed to USS Tucson. MMN 3, Jaden Harden, headed to USS Greenville. MMN 3, Thomas Harvey, headed to ELT school. MMN 3, Michael Hinton, headed to ELT school. MMN 3, Quaden Hokuan Stanley, headed to USS Hyman G. Rickover. MMN 3, Kevin Cairns, headed to USS Washington. Ensign Levi Klemek, headed to USS New Mexico. MMN 3, Colby Kraft, headed to USS Newport News. EMN 3, Diana Cruson, headed to USS Nimitz. ETN 3, Gary LaForge, headed to USS Montana. MMN 3, Benjamin Lara, headed to USS George H.W. Bush. Ensign John Lovett, headed to USS Toledo. Ensign Chase Lowe, headed to USS Alabama. ETN 3, Michael Maggiore, headed to USS Seawolf. Ensign Haley McDonald, headed to USS Virginia. MMN 3, Sean McQuilkin, headed to USS Hyman G. Rickover. ETN 3, Joshua Morkin, headed to USS Oregon. ETN 3, Alec Nawa, headed to USS Harry S. Truman. Ensign Ryan Wynn, headed to USS Utah. Lieutenant Junior Grade Nathaniel O'Neill, headed to USS Alabama. MMN 3, Jacob Owen, headed to USS Theodore Roosevelt. EMN 3, Leonardo Pastoria, headed to USS Santa Fe. EMN 3, Luciano Pastoria, headed to USS Santa Fe. MMN 3, John Patterson, headed to USS Abraham Lincoln. MMN 3, Hudson Perry, headed to USS Nimitz. EMN 3, Austin Perkins, headed to USS Tucson. MMN 3, Adam Peters, headed to USS Alaska. Ensign Moran Q, headed to USS Hampton. MMN 3, Riley Radke, headed to USS Oklahoma. MMN 3, Zachary Ritchie, headed to USS Utah. EMN 3 Paul Rivera, headed to USS Springfield. MMN 3 Brandon Ramirez, headed to USS John C. Stennis. Ensign Isabel Ross, headed to USS South Dakota. EMN 3 Garrett Russell, headed to USS Helena. EMN 3 Luis Sanchez, headed to USS Gerald R. Ford. Ensign Anastasia Sawyer, headed to USS Georgia. MMN 3 Logan Scott, headed to USS John C. Stennis. ETN 3 Ethan Snow, headed to PCU, Massachusetts. EMN 3 Matthew Stone, headed to USS Abraham Lincoln. MMN 3 Roberto Tinoco Gonzalez, headed to ELT school. Ensign Zachary Van Langendonk, headed to USS Albany. Ensign Adolfo Valletta, headed to USS Tennessee. MMN 3 Evan Vopal, headed to USS George Washington. MMN 3 Melvin Walker, headed to USS George H.W. Bush. MMN 3 Isaac Warren, headed to USS Abraham Lincoln. EMN 3 Dylan Weller, headed to USS Texas. MMN 3 Timothy Witkowski, headed to PCU John F. Kennedy. EMN 3 James Young, headed to PCU John F. Kennedy. All right, please give a round of applause for all of our graduates. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing while Chaplain Brady delivers the benediction.
Let us pray. Now, O gracious Lord, as this graduation comes to an end, and we prepare to leave this place, we ask that your loving presence go with us. When adversity comes to us as we attempt to stand our watch, be near us. When anxiety shackles our hearts and grips our minds, steady us. So as we look back in thanksgiving and forward to our future with abiding hope, we ask this in your holy name. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our graduation ceremony. Thank you for attending, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day at Patriots Point and in Charleston. Once again, congratulations to graduates, and thank you, family, friends, and shipmates for being here today. On behalf of the commanding officer, technical director, site command master chief, I wish you all fair winds and following seas. NPTU Charleston, attention, dismissed.